Well, I often hear financial and tax professionals use the term RMD and the importance of planning for them. What exactly is an RMD?
Great question, Carolyn. RMD is referred to as required minimum distribution. And basically what that is, if you remember through our working years, we're saving and investing maybe in employer-sponsored retirement plans. These types of plans may be like a 401k plan or a 403b, or maybe we've got a 457 or deferred compensation plan. And in those types of plans, that's where we're allowed to save and invest for retirement pre-tax. So the benefit to that is the tax dollars that we would have paid are invested, and hopefully we're getting some growth on those through our working years. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam looks at our balances and statements and says, all that money doesn't belong to you. Remember, you've not yet paid tax on those dollars. So there comes a point in time where we are mandated by the IRS to begin taking distributions from those accounts, whether we need them or not, which it's our age 70 and a half. So once we turn age 70 and a half, that's where we're responsible to start taking distributions, at which point they are taxable. And to begin spending those accounts down, Uncle Sam wants their portion of our retirement savings.
What happens if someone forgets or doesn't take their RMD?
Yeah, good question. And it's not something that we want to miss. And the IRS has put some rules and guidelines in place to make sure that we don't do that in the form of a penalty. So if we somehow neglect, or maybe some folks say, gosh, I don't need my RMD, I don't want to take it, at 70 and a half we have to. At the present time, if we miss or neglect taking our required minimum distribution, we'd be assessed at a 50% penalty. So for example, if we determined that our required distribution this year was going to be, say, $4,000, and we didn't take it, we still have to take that required distribution of $4,000, which is taxable, and on top of that we're going to be dealing with a 50% or $2,000 penalty for neglecting to do that. So we want to make sure we don't forget or miss our RMDs.
Absolutely. If someone doesn't anticipate wanting or needing to take distributions from their retirement savings, should they delay taking distributions until they have to begin taking them?
That's another great question. RMD planning and tax planning is going to be every bit as important in retirement as retirement planning. So part of it, retirement planning, is the importance of growing our money and trying to select investments that are suitable for us. I think just as important is going to be tax planning. So it's something where you definitely want to work closely with your tax advisor or CPA, your financial advisor, to begin doing some tax planning and projections. In some cases, we've seen clients where they began to create kind of a tax bomb, meaning that their retirement savings continues to grow, and it's great, we don't need that money, but at 70 and a half, now they're forced to take a substantial distribution, which may throw them up into a much higher income tax bracket. So lots of times we'll look at, when clients are retired, what their current tax bracket is and start anticipating what the growth on that money may be, factoring in pension, Social Security. And if their tax rate may not change, then there may not be a benefit to taking a distribution prior to 70 and a half. If they anticipate being in a lower tax bracket today than they will be at that time, then maybe it does make sense to start pulling some of those dollars out at a lower tax rate. And if they don't need the dollars, they can also convert them to what we call a Roth IRA. So it does create a taxable event, but then going forward, the earnings in those accounts would be tax-free.
Is it possible for me to give or gift my required minimum distribution if I don't want or need the income?
Another great question. In many cases, a lot of our retirees are not able to itemize or deduct their donations to church or their qualified charities or what have you. So it is possible to transfer or take your required distribution and have it sent directly to a qualifying 501c3, which may be your nonprofit, your church, charity, what have you. The benefit to that is twofold. One is, if you take the distribution, it's not taxable to you, so it can satisfy your required minimum distribution. And if you were unable to itemize, the amount of tax that would have been paid goes directly to your chosen charity. So there can be, it's win-win for both parties. One, it may not be taxable to the person taking the required distribution, as well as your chosen charity may receive additional dollars as a result of that. That's something that, be sure to check with the plan custodian to make sure there are specific rules as to when and how those checks need to be cut. But to answer your question, yes, it can be done.
Well, this is a very important topic for people approaching retirement and thinking about it. So your expertise is really helpful. I'm wondering what people should do if they have more questions.
Yeah, if you have further questions, you can feel free to contact our office directly at 1-800-282-4503, or may visit us on the web at www.maier, spelled M-A-I-E-R, andassociates.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.